Hello, welcome to this session. This is Jinku Bora, Assistant Professor from Department of Food Technology, Jamia Hamdard. And today our topic of discussion would be understanding starches and their role in foods. So first, a brief introduction about what starches are. Starch is the most abundant carbohydrate reserve found in the plants, and it is mainly in the stored form of carbohydrate. And mainly in plants, you'll find two form of carbohydrate. That is, one is storage form, and another one is your structural form. So storage form is starch, and your structural form is your cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin. All those come under the structural form of carbohydrate reserve found in the plants. And the stored form of carbohydrate that is abundant in animals is your glycogen. So mainly it is this starch is formed in the chloroplast of green leaves and mainly in the amyloplast, and it is deposited in the plant organs in the form of granules that has a diameter of around 1 to 100 micrometer, and the sources are cereal grains, tubers, and legumes. From the tables, you could notice that the highest amount of starch is contained in the yam, that contains around 90% of starch, followed by your rice, that is 89%, and followed by potato, that contains around 75%. And what are the applications of starches? So mainly these starches are applied in a number of industries. So if you find in the adhesive industries, it is used as a binding agent. In the paper and board industries, it is used for the binding purposes, sizing purposes, and coating purposes. In the textile industries, it is used for the sizing, finishing, and printing purposes. And the pharmaceutical industry, it is used as a diluent, binder, or a drug delivery agent. In detergent industries, it is used as a surfactants, bleaching agents, and activators. In agrochemical industries, it is used for the pesticide delivery or seed cutting purposes. In the plastic industries, it is used for the food packaging and the biodegradable filler. And in cosmetic industry, it is used with the face and the talcum powders. In medical applications, it is used as the plasma extenders or your adsorbent or sanitary products. So we'll come to the starch chemistry. Starch are mainly composed of two molecular entities. One is amylose and amylopectin. It is a linear, amylose is a linear fraction and amylopectin is a highly branched fraction, and both of these are made up of glucose subunits. So it starch contains around 15 to 30% of amylose, and your amylopectin is around 70 to 85%. So what is amylose? Amylose is a linear branch of your glucose, and it is linked by alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages. You could see from here it is linked by each glucose subunit is linked by alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages. In the amylopectin, it contains the alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages as well as alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkages. You could notice from here that it is the glucose units where there is branch, it is linked by your alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkages. And these amylopectins are arranged in form of your amorphous lamellae and crystalline lamellae. Crystalline lamellae are dark in color, amorphous lamellae are whitish in color. Crystalline lamellae is mainly contains the amylose, amylopectin clusters, whereas the branching points are amorphous lamellae. So starch granules structure have a microscopic size with diameters ranging from 0.1 to your 200 micrometer. In nature, these granules exist in different sizes and shapes. So if you find the structure of starch granule in tuber, then you'll find that it is voluminous and oval shape, as you could see from the diagram. That is in case of potato starch, it is your voluminous and oval shaped in structure. So there are number cereal starch, you'll find it is polygonal or round shape. In high amylose maize starch, you'll find it as filamentous granules. In legume seed, you'll find the bean like with elongated helium structure. So starch has numerous useful functional properties like thickening, coating, gelling, adhesion, and encapsulation. And it is used for, as you could have noticed in the daily kitchens, that it is used as starch thickener in some curries, and as well as starch coating agents in some chicken or meat products. So what are the functionalities? These functionalities are unique to this polymer because the amylose and amylopectin ratio may vary and their organization as well. And this depends on the amylose and amylopectin ratio and their organization. And three important starch functionalities for its applications are: first one is the gelatinization, second is the retrogradation, and third is the your pasting. So we'll first come to the starch gelatinization. What is starch gelatinization? So it is mainly a process of breakdown of the intermolecular bonds of starch molecules in the presence of water and heat, and allowing the hydrogen bonding sites to engage more water. So this process is mainly divided into three processes, mainly granule swelling, then the crystal double helix melting, and then the amylose leaching. So what happens during heating? Your water is first absorbed in this starch granule in the amorphous region, which leads to this swelling phenomena. As you could notice from the diagram, there is a swelling phenomena in the starches, and after that water then enters via the amorphous region to the tightly bound areas of the double helical structures of amylopectin, that is the branch structures, and heat causes such regions to become diffuse, and then the amylose chains begins to dissolve and number and size of crystalline regions decreases. So what happens then again? The third step, the penetration of water thus increases the randomness in the starch granule structure and causes swelling. Eventually the amylose molecules leach out to the surrounding because there is a disintegration of the starch granule structure, and the amylose molecule leach out to the surrounding medium. So this is what gelatinization is. So what are the factors influencing gelatinization? If you plot a viscosity versus time temperature graph, along with the increase of temperature and time, the starch granules begins to swell up, and after a certain time, if you hold the temperature and the time, the continuous heating cause the rupturing of the starch granules, and eventually there will be maximum viscosity, and this will lead to a disintegration of the starch granules, okay, and finally rupturing of the starch granule. So next is your starch retrogradation. So what is retrogradation? It's a reaction that takes place when the amylose and the amylopectin chains in the cooked gelatinized cooked where reaction that take place when the amylose amylopectin chains are cooked. So gelatinized, after that the gelatinized starch realign themselves as the cooked starch cools. When native starch is heated and dissolved in water, the crystalline structure of the amylose and amylopectin molecules is lost, and they hydrate to form a viscous solution. If the viscous solution is cooled or left at lower temperature for a longer period of time, the linear molecules, amylose and linear parts of amylopectin molecules retrograde, and they again realign themselves to form a more crystalline structure. So the linear chains place themselves parallel and form hydrogen bridges. So this is what retrogradation is, and it is the process that occurs when starch molecules reassociate and form your ordered structure again, okay. So this is what retrogradation. If you buy a card from a shop, so this is the example of a retrogradated starch. And synopsis, it is the what happens when retrogradation can sometimes lead to expel of water from the polymer network, and this process is known as synopsis, and a small amount of water can be seen in the top of the gel. So next is your starch pasting. So what is starch pasting? So what happens, the starch granules imbibe waters and then swells. Then the internal crystalline structure melts. That is gelatinization. Then what happens, the granule itself breaks down and a continuous gel is formed. So the viscosity changes produced by heating and cooling starch in water generally provides a characteristic pasting curve. So what will come to the pasting curve? So there you will find that there is a pasting temperature, peak viscosity, then again a trough and a breakdown area, and then a setback area, and then a final viscosity. So what is the pasting temperature? So it is the indication of the minimum temperature required to cook a given sample. Okay, and then peak viscosity, it is indicates the maximum water holding capacity of that particular starch. Then what is the role of this breakdown? This provide the ability of a sample to withstand that heating and shearing stress. Then we come to the setback. What is setback? After the heating, there is a cooling process. So in this cooling process, there is a reassociation between the starch molecules, and it is referred to as setback. It involves retrogradation, reordering of the starch molecules, and correlate with the texture of various product. Then what is the final viscosity? Final viscosity is the ability of the material to form a viscous paste or gel after cooling. Okay, that is about the your pasting curve. So next we'll come to the role of starch in foods. So first we'll come to baked products. It is the transformation of a dough to bread. Then bread come forming on aging. If you could have noticed that whenever a bread is left for some days, there is a firming of the bread slices. So this is mainly due to the retrogradation of the starches present in your bread. So snack foods are high in starch and provides functional benefits including different expansion, crispiness, oil pickup, overall eating quality of the product. So that depends on the starch that is present on the snack fruit. Then resistant starches. So what are resistant starches? Those starches that are not digested by the enzymes present in the small intestine, and it undergoes various fermentation in the large intestine. That means it passed to the large intestine without being digested in the small intestine. And there are mainly four categories of resistant starches: type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. What are resistant starch? One, that is naturally present in some your legumes, that is physically inaccessible or undigestible. Okay. Then resistant starch 2, it is inaccessible to enzyme due to the conformation of the starches. You will find those starches in green banana and high amylose corn. Resistant starch 3, that is the starch containing foods when they are cooked and cool. For example, if you take the example of pasta. Resistant starch 4, that starches that have been chemically modified to resist digestion. So these are the examples of resistant starch 4. So starch and health, it helps to maintain a low glycemic index of starchy foods, and digestibility affects the nutritional value of your starches. So it helps to maintain, if you modify the starches, it can help to maintain a low glycemic index, that is can help to maintain a low blood glucose level. So it can help to maintain a low glycemic index. Okay, so these are is a picture that is one person is telling to another why you are having this food, and she said that veggies, no, I get my fiber from resistant starches. So you could notice from the picture as well that she prefers the resistant starch as compared to the normal starches, because resistant starch are indigestible by the enzymes of the small intestine, and it is only undergoes a fermentation in the large intestine, whereby they are converted into salts and fatty acids and helps in the growth of the probiotics. Okay, so this is the lecture today. So these are the references. You could go through these references for your benefit if you want to learn more. And thank you for listening to me. Hope to see you again. Thank you.